Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the great debate, to police or not to police. Librarian Copyright Police, what the what? Presented by professional librarian collaborators in MENA. Venue, Learning Commons at ACS Amman, Jordan. This will be moderated by Professor Renee Hobbs, November 3rd, 2018. Team affirmative, the argument, should librarians be copyright police for the community? The debaters are Leanne and Jess. Team negative.
Oh,
oops. Team affirmative. Team affirmative, the argument, librarians should be copyright police for their community. Leanne and Jess. Team negative, argument, librarians should not be copyright police for their community. Our wonderful debaters, Kelly and Sally. Team affirmative, rebuttal. Dima and Sarad are gonna rebut. Team negative, rebuttal, presented by Dina and Yvonne. Can these librarians make evidence in supporting claims for their arguments? Let's find out. Let the debate begin.
Librarians should be the copyright police for the school community. So what are we policing as librarians? We are policing the promotion of creativity, innovation, and the spread of knowledge. That's Article 1, Section 8. Protection of both users and authors. Users can stand on the shoulders of giants. It's a quote. We know that that's how students learn best.
Thank you. Excellent. As librarians, we have a responsibility to produce this K-12 scope and sequence. So by taking on the responsibility, which I think we need to define instead of policing, we're taking on a different responsibility here. The responsibility is to educate both our students and our faculty. That's how we define our community. So it's not outside of our school. And by being the leaders instead of the police in this way, we are building collective efficacy amongst our staff and our students so that the word policing really need not be present, because we will all be educated and be able to support each other in this important work of understanding what copyright really is. One of the consequences of a misunderstanding of copyright is this idea that teachers hold back in terms of the instructional strategies that they use. By building this collective efficacy as teachers, okay. By building this collective efficacy and by taking the lead on this, librarians are in fact empowering teachers and giving them more permission to use materials with great confidence in their instruction with students. We also have this responsibility to shift the culture and shift the thinking amongst members of our community. Our understanding has grown this weekend so that we no longer see copyright as an infringement, but we see it as an opportunity. So when we promote this new way of thinking about copyright, again, we are building this new culture of how we approach copyright in our schools. And there really is no one better than the librarian to take this leadership role in the school community. That's the extent of our notes.
first of all, like that was not what I expected. And awesome. First negative, copyright, librarians should not be copyright police. Oh, dun, dun, dun. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna
Rocky.
We're gonna start with some applause, just a few seconds of applause, and then we're gonna call team.
You're the mentor, I'm the mentor.
Team Negative, are you ready? Yeah, as ready as you'll ever be.
Well, now I'm ready.
All right. 5, 4. Let's start from the beginning here. I must not have
Oh,
done.
now it's me.
Okay, go. Sorry.
So we are the negative, arguing that librarians should not be police. We take issue with the term police. We don't think that librarians should be painted in that way because of our unique ability in schools to be a source for positive change and as a resource for students. And so according to Durham University, the benefits of a mentor relationship are impartial advice and encouragement, developing a supportive relationship, assisting with problem solving, improving self-confidence, and encouraging reflection and practice. And the students perceive and teachers perceive librarians as police. It will negatively impact our role as helpful and positive mentors. Students will fear being punished or being made to do more work, and so will not ask us for help. And teachers may also feel judged or being made to do more work, and so will not ask us for help. And we also think that if librarians are perceived as police, it will negatively impact student agency, which should be the focus of our instruction. If students are in a learning environment that runs exclusively on them being caught, no one is learning to make positive choices. Students need to be encouraged and enabled to make the correct choice, and policing responsibility on the librarian to enforce the rules and not on the student to make positive choices. And we also can't be with students every moment of the day. So what happens to their choices with copyright when we are not there to police them in their blogs, in their Instagram posts, in their YouTube channels, or their life outside of school. And so perceiving librarians as police is not effective to learning.
Thank you. Everyone in the school community should be responsible for the use of copyright material. It should be embedded into the curriculum. It is a life skill. Developing students' life skills are important and essential to them to meet the challenges of everyday life. Students are not confined to the four walls of a school, and information is so readily available to them that it's no longer limited to books. There is a need for students to understand and appreciate the wanting and needing for developing creativity. I would like to share a quote by Eric Dickey. "It is impossible to explain creativity. It's like asking a bird, how do you fly? You just do." We want our students to feel free when researching and allow creativity to flourish. We can be the wind under their wings rather than be the wall in their face. We don't want to limit creativity by building a culture of fear.
First of all, I want to say that we agree with you that we are not police. We are here to create a positive environment for everyone, and I think the librarians are the best people to do that. My colleagues mentioned that we are bringing up a whole generation. So if we start with the young ones, once they grow up, they know what copyright is. They have a responsibility of how to use that in a creative manner. And I think that in the long run will help their creativity and encourage less copyright infringements, let's say.
I think the conclusion of this is if the librarian says something, we shouldn't think like a police. Like we should, if they are not learning, it's just like a learning to them. We shouldn't think of police. If you are not telling them, then they will never learn. They will never learn their mistakes.
And yeah, you mentioned that we are not with the students every day and all the time, but I think if they learn how to be responsible and how to use media in the correct manner, I think that they will know how to use that outside
the school community as well. And I'm going to end by a quote from Carrie Russell from the American Library Association. She said that copyright not only allows but encourages socially beneficial uses of copyrighted works, such as teaching, learning, and scholarship. And I think librarians are the best people to do that.
Throughout this entire debate, I feel like we've been saying the same thing. Like we're arguing against each other. I feel like we've been basically saying the same thing. Going back to the whole policing, who names us police? Do we name ourselves the police? Do our administrators name us the police? I don't want that job description. It's certainly not in my original job description. And even if we see violations as the police, what authority do we have to impose any consequences? Teachers have the grades, the power to affect grades, so teachers have that authority that we as librarians do not have. If we see teachers using copyright materials inappropriately, as a librarian, we cannot give them penalties with their jobs. We can't fire them. We can't, do any sort of discipline with teachers. So we have no authority as a police in that regard as well. There's no sort of formal reprimand or termination that we can offer as a librarian. So I don't want that position as a police officer. I also don't want to become a tattletale, pointing out all these flaws to the principals and the administrators and saying you're messing up. We don't want to become people to avoid. We want to be people that when we walk into a room, people say, oh, good, you're here. We have questions. Can you help us? That's the role I would like to have, not a police officer.
Ultimately, as librarians, our job is to facilitate the learning process. And so we can provide advice and provide help in making sure that students aren't infringing on anybody's copyright. But ultimately, the responsibility should not be on us. The ultimate responsibility should be on the actual individual. So we can provide the knowledge and we can assist them and advise them. But in the end, it should not be on us to go after any violations. It should be on the individual to be aware of what violations they are committing.
Okay, it was quite a debate. We had a multitude of arguments. There was some supporting evidence. There were some quotes. There was just awesome references to data. So, affirmative. Basically, librarians should be copyright police for their community. According to Section 8, Article 1, students learn best when librarians are responsible to help educate students and faculty. They shouldn't really be called police, but they're leaders in education, and misunderstanding of teachers as police should not be something that should be objectified or magnified. Also, let's see, they said that it would be wonderful to create a culture of thinking and learning, and that copyright should not be seen as fear or an infringement, but a benefit, okay? Team negative, librarians should not be copyright police for community. The term police kind of scares people because it almost seems like, there are consequences, repercussions, and punitive measures. So basically, their teachers are acting as police is negative. Students won't ask for help, they'll be afraid to, and this will severely impact student agency. So basically, teachers won't be able to be with the students all day, and students should learn how to use copyright measures. Everyone should be held responsible. It should be like a learned life skill, basically. Let's see here, affirmative rebuttal. Not police must create positive environment, encourage student creativity, learning, should allow for growth. Not with students all the time. Students need to learn how to use copyright and to promote their innovation and to actually see their learning in action. There was a wonderful quote from Russell something, librarians are the best people to teach. Negative rebuttal. Negative rebuttal, it becomes repetitive. Who names us police? Who is authorized to name teachers or librarians as police? Even if we see a violation, teachers have authority to teach using copyright. So if someone uses it inappropriately, should there be punitive measures? That goes back into if they did not fulfill the intent and some other measures. So don't want to tattletale. Obviously, teachers don't like to tattletale and run to the principal. They won't have very many friends later. We want people to see us as help. It's very important for librarians to be seen as help, someone that you can trust and go to. Librarians should be able to facilitate and ultimately be responsible for teaching, but the individual should be responsible, not the teachers or the librarians. They shouldn't be responsible for someone else's lack of knowledge in something. The end.